I had about $200 in my bank account. I gambled $200 the first night I was here and lost it. I was 22 and wanted to see if I could make it really on my own, but I didn't have a place to live. And then I got a job as a barback, and then the rest is kind of history. This is arcane and grain vodka, so we make everything in-house, and it's really that combination of sugar and grain in there. This is our 2-year straight bourbon whiskey. This is a mash bill of 75% corn, 15% rye, 10% malted barley. I think whiskey really helped me appreciate the moment a little bit. You have respect for something to be crafted over such a long period of time to become perfect. So saying that we do it grain from glass and not just source it in is a huge point of pride for us.
You are watching the Vegas Voices podcast.
It's been a while since we've been on location. This is one of the things that I love most about the podcast, being able to come to the location of our guests and showing little bites and tastes of our great city, right? So anyways, today's guest sits at the intersection of craft spirits, hospitality, and Vegas storytelling. Cody Frederickson has spent nearly 2 decades behind some of Las Vegas's most respected bars, curating world-class whiskey programs, designing thoughtful cocktail experiences, and educating guests along the way. Today, he is the tasting room manager and brand market lead at Las Vegas Distillery, helping relaunch one of Nevada's only grain-to-glass distilleries and bringing local spirits into the city's best bars, restaurants, and retailers across the state. This episode is about craft without ego, hospitality, storytelling, and what it really takes to build a local brand in a global city. So, Cody, welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's gonna be So whenever we have spirits on the show, it gets really fun.
Yeah, it should.
It's been the third time. We've had wine, we've had champagne, and now what do we have here?
So we're going to be tasting the vodka, coffee, liqueur, and bourbon. So it could get a little more fun than wine and champagne. So hopefully, but yeah, we have some fun stuff to taste.
Cool, man. So what do we get? Let's divide it into let's start one third right now. Let's go.
Yeah.
The next part, and then later on we'll do another.
Yeah.
So where should we start?
Yeah, so we can prime the pipes with our vodka. So this is arcane and grain vodka. So we make everything in-house. So this is going to be our hard white winter wheat. So it has that softness with a little bit of unrefined Louisiana cane sugar. So it's kind of hate when people say, oh, it's so smooth, because I always ask what's making it so smooth. And it's really that combination of, sugar and grain in there, and then how we distill it. So nice mouthfeel, which is always important to me.
Sure. Would you just drink it all, or enjoy it, sip it?
You can choose your own adventure, but
I like sipping.
Yeah, I would do a little sip just so you can kind of analyze it a little bit, and then go back to it if you want.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
So in this section, we'll just drink some vodka.
Yeah.
So you moved to Vegas in 2005. What pulled you here? And what did the bar scene look like back then?
Wow. Yeah. So it was New Year's Day, and I guess 2 days before that, I asked my friend if he wanted to move to Las Vegas with me. I'd been here one time before. I was 22. I came when I was 21. And I packed up everything that I owned in my car. I had about $200 in my bank account, or $400, but I gambled $200 the first night I was here and lost it. But I didn't have a place to live, didn't have anything lined up. I just had a couple comp nights at the Golden Nugget, and then from there we got an apartment on Flamingo and Maryland Parkway. If you know where that's at, it was not great, but and then we got jobs, so I made it work, and that's really why I came here, just to really what it was for me is to kind of paint myself into a corner. I was 22 and wanted to see if I could make it really on my own. I liked poker at the time, so I'm like, that's the city that you got to go to. Luckily, I didn't stay in that, because I don't know if I would have lasted very long. But then I always wanted to bartend. When I was a kid, I remember watching Cocktail with Tom Cruise and seeing Flair bartenders and all that. I think that's a gateway movie for people to get into hospitality and bartending.
Never thought about that way, but
Yeah.
it makes
So-
sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, and so I wanted to do it. It was kind of like fake it till you make it type of thing. And I got a job wherever I could. I started at Paris in retail. Then I went to the cashier's cage there because I knew I would meet bartenders cashing in their tips. And then I got a job as a barback, and then the rest is kind of history.
Fantastic strategy, man.
Yeah.
And like my story is so similar. I think I came in 2003, same thing, $300. I lived in like Flamingo and Maryland Park. It's so close. I love poker. I still love poker. I sure play poker on the side and, make a little money out of that, but it's not the main gig. I get you.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
So what was your first job behind the bar like, and what did it teach you the hard way?
It was barback. Yeah, I remember. This is a town still sometimes that it's hard to get a job in food and beverage if you don't have a connection or you don't have experience. So how do you get experience? So I just kept going to the food and beverage director at the Paris at the time and said, I want a job as a barback. I didn't have any experience, so he didn't hire me. I think I ended up going 4 times, and the last time he said no, I said, I'll be back every time you're hiring. So he finally said, I was walking out the door. It was like a movie. It was crazy. I was walking out, and he goes, all right, you're hired. So I got a job as a barback, knew nothing about anything in food and beverage. And I remember my first night on the job, I was picking up, the bartender told me, okay, he goes, first of all, what's your experience? What do you know? And I said, nothing, but I'm ready. So he said, all right, I need you to clean clean ashtrays all night. I go, okay, I can do that. So I was picking them up, cleaning them, and this was probably 15 minutes into my food and beverage journey. The guest goes, hey, I need whatever the cocktail was, I can't remember that. And I go, sorry, I'm just the barback. I can get, no, I said, oh, sorry, I can't do that for you right now. I go, I'm the barback. And he goes, who the fuck are you? And so, that was my introduction of like, why can't you help me? And I'm like, is this how people always are? And so, that's how it started. And I think, what it taught me was, to kind of dig in and carve your path. If you want to do something, and I did. I guess I was more naive to realize that it was harder than I thought it would be to become a bartender on the strip. And, so sometimes it's better to not know how difficult things are and then just go in and be tenacious with it.
Cheers to tenacity, man.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes you, there's no other way. Yeah. This is good, man.
Still delicious, so that's good.
Oh, it's still hitting me.
Yeah.
At what point did bartending stop just being a job and start feeling like a craft for you?
Yeah, so I think, I was at, Paris for 11 years. And about 8 years in, I was at the pool. And it's a union bartending gig. And I could have honestly retired with that gig. Just stayed there until I, retired.
How does that work? How does like having a union job and all that?
Yeah, so
That can give you a retirement.
yeah, it was just the union. You have great benefits, and
Okay.
I would just say it's very comfortable. But I'm by nature a pretty creative person.
And it's hard to get into a union, right? So
Yeah, that was the other thing.
it's like being a tenured professor or something like that.
Yeah, and you have to find a way in, and then work. Do the barback program and all that. But yeah, I was doing that, but it wasn't. I need a creative outlet, and that's really why I got into cocktails. I learned that bartenders made a lot of money after I started looking at it. I originally wanted to do it because I saw people throwing bottles or making like beautiful drinks, or the names of cocktails I thought was cool. And then I'm like, oh, bartenders make a lot of money too. So it was like a bonus. But I was comfortable there, but I wasn't fulfilled like creatively, and I needed an outlet. So I took a job at the Cromwell and as their lead bartender. So that was my real big first step into craft cocktails and learning a European style of bartending from Salvatore Calabrese.
What's a European style of bartending?
It's much more, I'm not going to say rigid, but it's very regimented. There's an elegance to it that American bartending has now since emulated pretty well in certain bar programs, but it's, very dialed in, technique driven. So I learned to be a little more disciplined in that, and that was a big step for me. And then I joined the Las Vegas United States Bartenders Guild. which is a group of individuals that all wanted to be better and take it more seriously. So that was really the step for me. And then I never looked back from there. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So early on, did you see hospitality more as performance, service, or education?
I think hospitality is all of those combined. For me, education helped me with hospitality because the reason why I wanted to learn about the bottles and the spirits beyond the bar is that I never wanted to get stumped by a guest. And it was no ego behind it. It was I wanted to be able to provide service to them to where if they said, what's the mash bill in that bourbon? What's the grain used in that vodka? So I was like, I need to be prepared for these questions.
And it's a lot of study, I guess. You learn all the stuff about all the liquors and the cocktails and all that.
It is a lot, but I think like tied into that, you get more of appreciation for the spirits, but then also through spirits, you learn history and perspective and you kind of travel the world through that. So I love that. But I think hospitality is all of that, right? It's a little bit entertaining, it's hosting, it's education, it's everything wrapped into one.
That makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
So you spent years as a whiskey specialist at Scotch 80 Prime. What changes when you're curating 500 bottles instead of pouring 5?
Instead of pouring?
I'm pouring them, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a big step. Scotch 80. It was curating a whiskey program. Really, where I learned the most with that program wasn't necessarily about all those whiskeys. That was fun. It was about teaching and training a team and getting them excited about the product. So, and really curating an experience for our guests at Scotch 80 because it had to be so elevated. Because we had $2 million of Macallan sitting when you walk through the door.
I didn't know that could be that expensive.
It was crazy. Yeah, we had, one bottle was $300,000. And
no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we had to where you could buy an ounce for $3,000.
Okay.
So with that comes a lot of expectation on, now is the value there? Probably not. But the experience needs to be there for the guests. So learning on, and listen, that was 1 out of 10,000 guests that I helped while I was there. But I needed to make that person feel special because they were spending that amount of money and it's for a reason. I needed to make the person that orders a Jack and Coke feel just as special. And that was really the challenge of keeping that level of service the entire time. And, and I would tell the team, they may have had a Jack and Coke 1,000,000 times in their life, right? But you don't know, they could have saved up their whole life to come to Las Vegas one time. And this is
That's a special Jack and
yeah, and
it's the one in Las Vegas.
it's the only time they've ever come to a steakhouse where they're spending this amount of money. It needs to taste the best. That's it. So, that was
So as simple as a drink like that, you can make it something exceptional.
yeah. I think, and it's not in the ingredients because the liquid does what it does. That's not changing. It's how it's presented, the ambiance, how you're taking care of the people. But that's from the moment they step, the entrance of the restaurant or bar till they leave. So yeah, I mean, good service is always going to make the drink taste a lot better.
So whiskey can be intimidating.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. How did you learn to break down the fence for guests who didn't speak whiskey yet?
That's good. I think that's a great question. It was a challenge at first, to tell you the truth, because I think people that get into whiskey, they go through phases, right? You go through the first phase of, I want to know everything, and you get, no offense to whiskey people, but you get a little snobby, and then you end up kind of coming back down to reality of like, oh, you can get some great whiskeys for, $30-$40, right? So how I broke it down was, and this would happen a lot at Scotch 80, someone would say, I know you have 500 whiskeys. I usually drink a Jack Daniels. And they would kind of whisper it. And I go, I love Jack Daniels too. Maybe I didn't. I'm not going to tell you if I did or not. But I would say that. Then it would break down that barrier. And they'd be like, oh, this is essentially a whiskey sommelier saying my thing that I like is okay. And then I could lead them into other whiskeys.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that vein, educate us. I think we have a whiskey here.
Yeah, we'll do that next. We got a coffee before, but yeah, let's go for the bourbon.
Okay.
This is our 2-year straight bourbon whiskey. So this is a mash bill of 75% corn, 15% rye, 10% malted barley. So what that is bourbon has to be at least 51% corn.
This is your creation. This you crafted this.
This is I help get it out into the world, but this is from the genius mind of Johnny Verplaine, our master distiller.
Oh,
So yeah, I mean, so it has that corn, which bourbon has to be at least 51%. So it has that sweetness for a whiskey. Then it has rye, which is a little spicy, so it kind of balances that sweetness out a little bit. And then you want to give it a little.
Cheers, man.
There's
I'm a little tipsy, so
right?
what the fuck?
There's a thing called a Kentucky chew. So you kind of chew your whiskey to get a good flavor.
How do you just like chew it? Like, I mean, just like sip as well.
Yep. And then wait a little bit after you swallow it, and then breathe in. Yeah, there you go. That was for me. You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm speaking whiskey now.
See? Yeah. It's a good 2-year, still young, still punchy.
Dude, it's good.
But yeah, it's aging. It's fun.
Good stuff. What did whiskey teach you about patience, restraint, and letting the product speak?
Ooh. Well, I think any aged spirit teaches you patience because, I would pour a 25-year-old Scotch, and we take it so for granted, right? But then when you think how long that was sitting in a barrel, at least 25 years. Like, what have you done in the last 25 years? Like, what has changed in the world in 25 years? So I think whiskey really helped me appreciate the moment a little bit, in that you have respect for something to be crafted over such a long period of time to become perfect. It takes time. And you can translate that into your life too. This is delicious, but I see this as kind of like an adolescent kid. He's on the right path, right? He's a good kid, but he has potential to become an amazing adult.
How old is this one?
This is 2-year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can imagine what if this tastes like. Amazing how a 25-year-old whiskey would.
Yeah.
So what do you think whiskey reveals about people and that other spirits don't?
It could be, it could be a few things. Some good, some bad. I think whiskey reveals a loyalty that other spirits sometimes don't have. It's a collector's spirit. So I think that kind of shows, and it has like a community that, let's say, a vodka or something wouldn't. So I think it's a pretty fun community in that regard. So yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
So you've said people eat and drink with their eyes first. What does that mean in practice?
Yeah, it just means that it can taste great, and for a restaurant, that's something that, some of the best chefs in the city taught me is make sure whether it be the cocktail, the garnish, how it's presented, the glass, it looks perfect, because we're setting ourselves up, if we like to admit it or not, or if we know it or not, for to taste it. And if we think it looks delicious or looks like it's going to be refreshing, it probably is going to be. So that's that.
The presentation of just this is off the hook. The place, the way you have it, it's kind of a testament to what you just said.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We joke about it now, but when people come in here, they say, "Oh man, this is like a hidden gem." We hear it all the time. It's where we're located, and but that's what we want. We want it to feel like you walked into a place and you're kind of transported, and then the level of the product you're getting is set by the environment you're drinking it in. So
okay, so you've been an educator in all this.
Yeah.
How do you train your staff to be hosts and educators, not just servers?
Ownership.
Okay.
Having them own the program and really giving them as much creativity and free will over the program as I can, while still making sure it's perfect, right? Yeah, because it's one thing you'll see on our menu now, most of the drinks say created by, and it's going to be the bartender or Sam, who was here, who's our tour guide, she also bartends. She has cocktails on there. So it's really about giving them a chance to take pride in what they're doing. And then, you know, I don't have to worry about them when I'm not here because I know they're representing themselves and, you know, the Las Vegas Distillery, right?
That's super cool. Yeah. So let's go at your story with Vegas Distillery. When you joined Vegas Distillery under new ownership, what needed to change first? The product, the story, the experience?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and for different reasons. Like I worked with the previous owner of the distillery as well back in the day in a different regard. So when it got sold, a lot of, you know, the things needed to change, whether it be, you know, we hired a new master distiller that had a completely different take on whiskey and a completely different background, right? So that needed to change the whole operation. The only thing that's really the same is the name, the same stills that we're using to produce the spirits, and then the fact that we don't source any product, we make it all in-house. That's really the only thing we carried over, but there was quite a bit.
The only thing.
Yeah, there was quite a bit to renovate. You know, this tasting room was much, much different if anyone's, you know, been here back in the day. So when I walked in the first day, this was all, you know, tore up down to cement. So, yeah.
Cool. So you came up with the idea of grain to glass. Why does that matter in a city like Vegas?
So I didn't come up with. I can't take credit for that.
Okay.
But
tell us about it.
But we, you know,
part of the ethos of the company, I guess.
100%.
Okay.
And it's something that we make sure to tell people. And why I think it's important is Vegas isn't always known for the most authentic things. We're known for the bright, the flashy, and that's great. That's a huge part of it. But there is a culture here that we live here, you know, and there is pride in knowing that we made everything here. This is a desert valley, like Las Vegas Valley desert whiskey or vodka. So saying that we do it grain from glass and not just source it in is a huge point of pride for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the difference between building a tasting room experience and building a distribution footprint?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's very apples to oranges. I guess what I could say is the same is an emphasis on taking care of people and solving problems, anticipating needs. Those are the things that stay the same in both of those. Preparation, keeping the brand at a certain level to be represented well. I want that done here. And you got Joe making drinks back.
Yeah, no, that's part of the thing. I mean, I remember when we were at Pinchos Tacos, we had people ordering food behind us, and it's the organic nature of
you know
the
what?
podcast.
It's what we're doing here. So,
Yeah.
But I think, like, you know, that's my philosophy always is anticipate needs, take care of people, do the right things, and let the product do what it does. And, you know, the people that are your people will find you if you're doing the right things.
Absolutely. So this past year marked a big milestone with statewide distribution, major placements, including airport, top local bars. What did that moment mean to you professionally?
I don't know, because I don't know if I ever stopped to take a second to figure out what it means.
You just keep creating. You're a creator.
I keep going. But it was a huge milestone in that everything comes in phases. It was, you know, the distillery's under new ownership. What do we do to get it open? Okay, now that the tasting room's open, what do we do to perfect it and get the products ready for distribution? Now we're in distribution. How do we get them out to more bars and restaurants? Now that we're doing that, how do we keep going? You know, whether it be direct-to-consumer shipping to... so it is... I don't do it very often, but hopefully every once in a while I'll reflect back on it, and hopefully I'm growing as a professional and personally as well.
Hey, maybe the podcast is helping you reminisce a little bit.
Yeah, because you get a chance to take a second away from the spreadsheets and everything else, so yeah.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's just the way it is when you're creating. It happens to me in my agency, and that's just the way it is.
Sure.
I've been doing the chew, man. It's really good. And then
it's that on the way in. It can be pretty intense.
Yeah, very cool. I'm almost done with it, so we'll pass on to the next.
So I was about to say, this is
Yeah.
now it's going to get really interesting now that you've finished off the whiskey.
So how do you approach relationships with bartenders, bar directors, differently than with a national brand?
Yeah, so I have worked for a big brand in the past as well. I was always very authentic. I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve in that regard. So it was sometimes tough with a big brand to represent that product. Good.
Yeah, that breath thing is just, I'm trying to get used to it. It hits you every time.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah, I'm speaking whiskey now.
There you go. I'm gonna do the coffee liqueur.
Okay, let's do that.
So
I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of here in one piece, but we'll make it.
So the coffee liqueur is super special in that it's white rum base. We use dark rum, or we use our Dark Moon coffee roasters special old brew. It's 1/4 the sugar of a Kahlua. Has Mexican vanilla, Belizean cacao, some amazing ingredients. So cheers, man.
Cheers, man. Let's do it.
Super smooth. Actually, it's coffee liqueur that tastes like coffee. So that's
Should you also chew it too?
you can, but I think that's a little more with whiskey, so you can get it to coat your palate.
Gotcha.
Oh, I do remember.
Let's get back.
Going national brand to small brand, because it is important. I think with this, I can walk through the door. I know exactly how the products are made. I know the people that are making the products. So it's easy for me to communicate with bartenders and bar owners exactly what we're doing here with full transparency and kind of feeling good about everything that I represent. And that's a nice thing to do. In a world, sometimes you have to go out and, everyone has to answer to somebody, right? But it feels good to represent a brand like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone stripped away branding and hype, what would still make a great spirit worth carrying?
So like blind tasting it, I think consistency and value
Okay.
and ingredients. So people want to know where their products are coming from and how they're sourced, and making sure that you know exactly what you're putting into your body. So I would say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you scaling without losing integrity?
I think being mindful of how to grow, because there are opportunities that present themselves that we may not have been ready for. It's just like we waited over a year to go into distribution on purpose, because we wanted to really, refine the program, the spirits before they were out in the market. So I think just being mindful of how to grow and what opportunities make sense to take on.
Got it. What mistakes do you see brands make when they grow too fast?
Not building organically and not becoming, what I've seen in the past is becoming a flash in the pan brand or chasing a trend without building any support system for when you're not the trendy thing anymore. Because it's one thing to have your 15 minutes of fame, but you need people to catch you and support you through that middle ground, right? So I see a lot of brands put a lot of money into mass promotion, but there's nothing of value kind of holding that together when that's gone.
Okay. And is there a moment where local stops being the advantage, or does it never?
Wow, that's a good question. I've never thought of that. That local stops being an advantage. So far, it's been an advantage because it's our quality of our high class spirits enters the room first, but right behind that is that we take pride in making it local. So I don't know. Maybe if we went out of the state, it becomes an obvious disadvantage because maybe no one really cares that much about bringing Las Vegas home or in their state. Outside of Las Vegas, it's something that you want to come here to Las Vegas for. So maybe that would be a disadvantage, us being called Las Vegas Distillery, but so far it's been pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what does a perfect like now getting personal, what does a perfect day off in Vegas look like for you now?
Oh man.
Or you don't have days off? Right now?
No, I do. No, I've done it long enough to make sure I have a lot of days off. I think either at this point I do a lot of hobbies, woodworking. I fish a lot, but really hanging out with my wife and my daughter. That's my perfect day off. Maybe making something on the smoker and just chilling out. That's it.
Life.
Yep. That's all I really care about is keeping my world pretty small with my family. Yeah.
So after 18 years in hospitality, what still excites you?
Learning new things.
What are you learning recently?
New recently. Well, besides a lot of the distribution side of things, this is geeky, but like I need to learn Adobe Illustrator so I can do a lot of things. So I'm always looking at
AI.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother podcast. But I'm always learning, and I'd fished forever, but I got into that last year, so I geeked out on that. I just got into vinyl records, so I'm geeking out on that and learning. So there's always something. There's always something.
That's cool, man. Yeah, you're a creator. You can't stop.
Yep.
I get it. So let's go into the rapid fire light up fun questions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so neat rocks or cocktail?
Depends. Rapid fire, neat.
All right.
Yeah.
Bourbon or rum? I think I know the answer.
Bourbon.
Yes. One Vegas bar everyone should experience at least once.
Jive Turkey.
Wow, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, you need to go.
Okay, we'll make it.
It's divey goodness. That's
Okay.
how I can describe that, yeah.
Very good. One spirit people underestimate.
Rum.
Okay. Why?
Just because I think the big brands are, the big brands and that's all they know. But there's a long history of some amazing rums and rum producers. It's just a category that's been overshadowed by kind of overly sweet and how they're mixed, and they're not usually consumed neat and appreciated. So there's a lot of great rums out there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Early shift or late night?
Early these days, for sure. Yeah.
How life changes, huh?
I was about to say it's like 5 o'clock. This is pushing it for me.
Gotcha. So when someone leaves the distillery and says, "I didn't expect that," what do you hope that they mean?
Man, that's a good question. I think the level that we executed at, the level of the product, the hospitality, the service, all of it, the ambiance, the music, the pictures on the wall, everything.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, it's. I always say that you may not like what we're doing, and that's fine. I can't tell you what to like, but at least you have to say that it's thoughtful and we thought about all the choices we made, down to excruciating details.
Definitely, your product presentation is amazing.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I think, yeah.
Cool. So 10 years from now, what do you hope people say about Las Vegas Distillery, your work, and how it helped to change the local scene?
That's also a loaded question. I would say I want people to say that we built something, we cared about the community, we wanted to grow the right way and for the right reasons, that we didn't stray from the mission, which is creating world-class spirits in Las Vegas. If in 10 years if what was said was that we source things or the quality went down, I'd be disappointed. So
Gotcha. So for someone who's never been here, why should their first stop be the tasting room?
no, I think it gives you a glimpse into the brand in that you come in, you meet the bartenders, you have a cocktail, you taste a flight, then you start to learn about the spirits. So I think it just gives you such a stage to experience the brand. It's just the perfect playground of the brand. And then you can take a bottle home and kind of make your own experiences with it. So it's just a perfect place to experience what we're all about.
Yeah, and I hope everybody comes because this is an amazing place. I'm definitely bringing my wife sometime. So,
Got to. Yeah.
Cody, how do people find out more about you, this place, everything?
The best way is on Instagram. So Las Vegas Distillery on Instagram, lasvegasdistillery.com. Go check it out. We have, live music every Friday and Saturday night. Of course, we're starting to add a lot more acts there. Always changing our menu seasonally. Also find us out in the market on, bars and restaurants and liquor stores. If they don't have us, let me know, and I'll get our stuff there for sure. So
Cody, again, thank you. Thank you for being a Vegas voice. Thank you for being our guest.
appreciate having me.
Thank you for the invite on the spirits, man. It was amazing.
Yeah, more whiskey.
No, man. I think I'm gonna need an Uber out of here.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks, man.